As we start our 3 radio program on a Wednesday afternoon here on a great SiriusXM 82, yours truly, Christopher Russo, as we take you home here and get you set up for your evening, whatever it might be, and give you a little feel of sports on a February day as we head to, a little more excitement. A little, obviously, NCAA. We'll get into that, hopefully, when we get into that tournament. More important, golf, a couple of World Golf Championships, and, of course, the Masters. The NBA creeping to a close. We can get focused on that. NHL, same capacity. Baseball, spring training, moving on, and the season beginning, so we can find our way here on a busy afternoon. It's nice to have you with us here as we chat. All right, a couple quickies here to get you started. What to expect here in these next, whatever it might be. One thing that bothers me is Cuban. I don't have any problem. I understand that Silva had to do it, but I actually admire Cuban for having the guts to say it. We're better off losing than winning at 18-40. The Mavericks going nowhere. Get the lottery balls and away you go. Remember, they changed the lottery system after this year, where it's not going to be, not going to have the same odds to get the number one pick if you have the worst record as it is now. I think it's going to go down from 25% to 18%, I believe. They didn't completely change it. They lessened the opportunity. They lessened the likelihood of getting the number one pick with the worst record after this year. So Cuban is saying what every other GM, Sam Hinkle, did forever with the Sixers, losing on purpose, and they didn't care about winning, and obviously they got all those picks, and now they have a chance to have a halfway decent run here with the, a mid, and of course it's 14%, so they go down 11%. So the NBA is trying to address this. Has been a problem in a lot of sports for a while. It's certainly a problem, not as big in the NFL, but it's certainly a problem in baseball, the Astros and Cubs, the Marlins and Tampa. It's been a problem now in the NBA. I don't know if it's a problem in the NHL to get that big star. I don't know if that plays into it as much, but, he got fined $600,000 by Silva. That's an issue for the league. There's no question about it. You can't have owners say that, although I do agree that they are better off losing. The other issue from Mark Cuban today, you can't tell me about how ignorant, you can't beg ignorance here with the whole thing with the president of the team, or the business president, whoever he was, who was there for 17 years, the old head of the CBA, the Continental Basketball League Association, who joined the Mavericks in basically, 2000, who has been running roughshod in that organization for a long period of time, making himself a complete pest, and not saying it lightly, to female employers, employees who were quoted in Sports Illustrated yesterday of saying, thank God, you beg that you never get caught in an elevator with him. I mean, so this guy was a menace, and somehow, some way, nobody knew about this in the Dallas Maverick organization, or if they did know about it, did not inform the owner, Cuban, what was going on. Cuban, who likes to tell you, how much he hates Trump and the Shark Tank. He's got all things to say about what's going on in Washington. Yet, in fact, right under his own nose, he's got a guy running around roughshod in his office, in his front office, who, in fact, female employees said, I'd rather be on the team on game days, shoot arounds, and everything else, where I wouldn't have to deal with them. So that tells you how toxic it became with the Mavericks. And again, the only problem I have with Cuban, and Cuban, he's out there, he has won a championship, he's had some success, he's loyal to his coaches, Nowitzki, I get it. So he's not all it's not all an empty bag, but he has a lot to say about what's going on in the federal government, and he has a right to say that. He's let him say what he wants, but make sure your own house is clean first. And his house wasn't for a long period of time, and he either didn't know, and if he didn't know, that's being kind. That's the nicest thing you can say, that he didn't know. If he did know, or heard whispers and, boys will be boys, it's even worse. Now he's going to deny that, and who knows if that's accurate. It's hard to believe, though, that an owner of a franchise, one who was at every game for years, had no idea and no inkling. Nobody put a little something in his head in the last 18 years that we got a problem with so-and-so in the front office, in the business affairs sides of the franchise? See, you can't plead ignorance. It's very difficult for a guy like Cuban, who's hip, who's got his hands in all little things in media, whether it's Shark Tank, TV shows, he's out there. He's got a lot to say. It's hard to take him seriously now when this is running around with his franchise. So when he talks about the political scene and, the Trump and everything else, you know, you laugh because I can't take him seriously. So that's over with. That takes care of that. He's finished for that forever. He wants to do all the TV shows he wants, go ahead. But his political commentary is now off the charts. He no longer has the right to say anything. That's it. Simple. Because that's terrible. I don't have a problem with the tanking of the games because if you're going to be fair about it, that's what all teams should do that have no opportunity to make the playoffs. Get the ping pong balls. That gives you your best chance. That's reality. That's the way it is in the NBA. The best teams win. There's very rarely an upset. If you make the first round in the postseason, you're going to get knocked out anyway. You're not winning a game against a good team. Golden State's not losing a game in the first round. They played 1 million first rounds in the last 100 years, and there's only 3 that have gotten out of it. 3. As an 8 seed. 3. Think about it. 3. And one of them was the Knicks against Miami, and the Knicks were not an 8 seed that year. They messed around. They didn't care for a long period of time in the strike year, and Miami wasn't that good anyway, and they beat Miami in 5 games. That was one of the 3. Denver, Seattle's the other one. There's one more. I don't know if it's Golden State and Dallas. Maybe at a 2-7, but there is one more. But so Cuban, we keep his mouth. So I'm down on him. That's the first thing today that we get. I don't want to hear from Rick Pitino either. Rick, I guess, had something to say today about how Louisville should sue the NCAA about taking down the banners. Rick, you are, first off, nobody wants to hear from Pitino in any shape, way, unless you're Jim Boeheim. Nobody wants to hear from Rick Pitino. Nobody. Rick's got to go away, go play golf, go, ride his horses at the Kentucky Derby. Nobody wants to hear from Rick Pitino. There's not a person in America who cares what Rick Pitino has to say unless you're an immediate family member. You got to be fair. I mean, and I'm a Rick fan. Always have been. Always liked him. Always loved his coaching. But you got to be fair. You got to be honest. And I don't think anybody wants to hear from him either. And Pitino here now is, claiming that Louisville should sue for taking those banners away for that sex scandal that was right under his nose for a long period of time at Donardi Hall, the hall named after his beloved brother-in-law who perished, unfortunately, in 9/11, who has waxed poetic about for 100 years. Yet, in fact, that same hall in Louisville, basically about a 30-foot putt from his office, was essentially a sex house for years, and he didn't know about it. So I don't want to, whether the NCAA overreached, who knows? Who cares what the NCAA does? And nobody is going to think any differently about the Louisville team from that year anyway, because we all know Louisville was the best team. And they beat Michigan fair and square 90-84. And, they won a championship. You can't take away memories. You can take away all the banners, but you can't take away the memories. What are you supposed to do? Get back the rings, too? So why anybody would even make a big deal about what the NCAA does in any sort of effort is ridiculous. But Rick today made that comment. Rick should just go away. As simple as that. Let Pageant coach the team. They're going to make the tournament again. I've had a good year, believe it or not, with Rick's players. Rick should go away. Nobody wants to hear from Rick. He still claims that punishment for that is a disaster. How dare they take away our championship? It wasn't our fault. That was a rogue coach. All these things. And I don't know, maybe it's me. I don't think any sports fan in America cares about what Rick Pitino thinks about what was going on at Louisville. And this is even, and this is prior to the latest incident with the Dozier kid with the 100,000. I don't think anybody cares, and Rick should know that. So he's getting bad advice. Somebody should tell Rick to go away, go to Miami Beach somewhere, and write a book in 5 years and explain all. And maybe we'll buy it. That's what we should tell Rick. That's the second thing that I want to get involved in today. I can't take Lindsey Vonn. To me, everybody was telling me last night about how many World Cup skiing championships she won. To me, she's a huge drama queen. I can't get that wrapped up in her winning only a bronze medal at the Winter Olympics. I know NBC was on and on about it yesterday. The interview that she did after she finished third lasted about 20 minutes. She's crying, she's tearing up. I can't listen to it. To me, Lindsey Vonn has always been about. I know she's a good skier and she came back off that injury. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't sit there getting all worked up about Lindsey Vonn. Plenty of great athletes get hurt. So the way it is, I did not get wrapped up yesterday about Lindsey Vonn. And I tell you, for somebody who won 1 gold medal in her career, she's not Jean-Claude Killet. I mean, my goodness gracious, I can't take it. And NBC, NBC's been battered a little bit with these Olympics. They let White off the hook with that whole thing with the gossip comment regarding the sexual assault allegations allegations towards him. He paid the girl off to walk away. They had to fire people right out of the gate who were hired by NBC, who basically said Korea loves Japan, and this is Japan that kept Korea in bondage between 1910 and 1945. He was a freelancer. I mean, a little shade. You know the way NBC is. They're going to drape themselves around the American flag, and away they go. And they're going to try to spin the Olympic rating right now, which has been falling off the face of the earth based on Olympic standards. They're going to spin it around total viewership. They're going to say streaming, and they're going to say USA Cable and NBC Sportsnet. Bunch of nonsense. On NBC primetime, they have not done well. The Americans have not done well. The hockey has not brought anybody to the table. The men's skating was a mess. They had White who helped them, but for the most part, it's lost a lot of steam in week 2. Now, they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to spin it their way. They spent a fortune on these games, but it is true. No other way around it. You can't argue it. That's number 3. Number 4, I'm a little surprised the NBA did not. I know they want to give them a little vacation, but boy, there's a void right now in sports. Unless you're wrapped up in the NHL or the aforementioned Olympics, or like Steve Torrey, Indiana, Nebraska, and maybe you're wrapped up on Carolina, Syracuse tonight. Maybe I'll watch the second half if I get myself into it. But the bottom line is there is a major void. I'm into the Cavs a little bit right now. I mean, waiting 5 days off the All-Star game to go play another game. I know they want to give them a vacation. And I know that might be in the CBA. I don't even know how it works in a collective bargaining agreement now with the time off. They started a week earlier this year to build away or get away from the players not playing in back-to-back games on TV, which was embarrassing for the NBA last year. But I'll tell you, this would have been a perfect opportunity for the NBA to have a little juice these last 3 or 4 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they have not done that with all these days off. So I don't know, for whatever the reason, I know they probably have to, and I know they don't really that wrapped up in it, but to basically take a hiatus for 8 days because of an All-Star game, that's rough. And the All-Star game did not do that well, by the way, rating-wise. It went down from last year. Now, it was up against the Olympics this year. Last year it wasn't, but it went down. So all the the hoopla regarding different rosters and have the players be more invested because Curry and LeBron picked the players didn't work. People didn't watch it. Not in droves. Not in droves. I'm not ready yet, to give baseball any credit, and the union. I'm not ready to give them any credit about how this is a big kumbaya moment. Based on these mound visits, trying to speed up the game. Manfred yesterday out in Arizona, tried to insinuate that this is a joint effort, that he was trying to basically negate what Verlander said the day before, when Verlander said, all this mound visit stuff, if it works, it's all, or it doesn't work, it's all on the MLB. It's at the commissioner's office, it's not on us. And Manfred yesterday made it sure that people would not think that it was a joint understanding between the Players Association and the owners and the commissioner's office as far as speeding up the game is concerned. Bottom line is Manfred did not get what he wanted as far as pace of play, which is a pitch clock. He didn't push that. He could have. He laid low with it because he didn't want to antagonize the players any more than they were already antagonized because of a very slow free agent market, which of course bothered plenty of players. So Manfred didn't want to push the envelope. I get that. But let's not make it sound like they changed the world with the mound visits. Each team last year, their average mound visits was 6 a game. A few teams are more than that, 6 a game. It wasn't like they, again, they didn't move heaven and earth. Let's take it easy. 17 after the hour, we continue. Mad Dog Unleashed.